Nick was born with no arms and no legs, and so he's here to share with us today. So would you welcome up Nick?
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nick Vujicic. I live in Australia. It took me a couple of days to swim across. I have had a wonderful 9 weeks of my life, the best 9 weeks of my life. I tell you, I've been touring by the grace of God, and oh, God is so good. We did 2.5 weeks in South Africa. God gave me the strength to speak 40 times in 15 days, and I know, and sometimes 6 times a day doing schools and stuff, and it was wonderful. For those of you who don't know what happened, I was born this way. There's no medical reason why this had happened. So I have no arms, no legs. However, I have a little foot. This is my little chicken drumstick. It looks like a chicken drumstick, to tell you the truth. My dog, when he was going through his teething process, I used to hit him in the head every now and then. But I love swimming. I absolutely love swimming. The funniest thing about me swimming is because half of me is actually lung capacity, I actually float like a life jacket. Seriously. I float and I just bob there, so they call me Bob, right? And I float upright like this, and then I have my little motor here, and I go like that. Philippians 4:4 says this. Here we go. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Go to verse 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding or surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Now that's a wonderful opening. I love that. I never opened up with that verse before, and I think it's perfect. It's just the message. And I love how God is awesome. You know those songs that we just heard? Let this be a holy moment, and the second song was Your Grace is Enough. This is what this message today is about. Holy moments. Are they a good moment? Yes, absolutely. Do you feel good in a holy moment? Yes, absolutely. And you know what? Something that Satan uses for us to stop us from being closer to God is fear. What's the first thing that you feel when something happens that you don't expect? Fear. Can you imagine my parents, Christian parents, my dad being the pastor of our church, Mum's there, she just gave birth to me, and she's actually not seeing what's going on. The doctors hold me down far enough so she can't see me because they're terrified with what reaction she's going to get. They had no warning at all. My dad saw me, honestly. His face, my mum said his face turned green and he left the room to go, bleh, okay? He could, no kidding. The midwives there, the nurses, they wrapped me up and hid me from my mum's face. And the nurses were crying. And my mum's like, what is going on? Fear. Fear. When something happens in your life that you don't understand, that you don't expect, you are paralyzed with fear. But God does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind and a lot of other things. But God's grace is enough, is the message today. Deserve such punishment? What about me? What did I do to deserve that? And if God loved me as much as everybody else, then why did He make me with more, maybe, shortcomings or sufferings? Why? And obviously it was not only hard for my parents, but it was hard for me. I went to school, and everybody teased me. Everybody pointed their finger at me and laughed at me. I mean, kids are cruel these days, man. If you have a freckle on your nose or something, man, they're going to tease you about that. If your ear looks different, they're going to tease you about that. That's how kids are these days, and I was no exception. And I felt so lonely. You know what? I grew up in Sunday school, and the only thing that I wanted in my life, in my depression, was for someone to come up to me and say, everything is okay. For somebody to tell me that everything is okay, the only reason why I would believe them is if they knew what I was going through. But I couldn't believe anybody because no one knew what I was going through. Does that make sense? And I was screaming out to God, God, where are you? Where are you? I got so depressed. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. I never thought I'd have a normal life. Book of Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11 says this. We'll wait for some pages. Here we go. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Now that's an awesome verse, but our pain and our suffering is so much more real than the presence and promises of God. And you know, we get stretched by God. And then it hurts so much, and He stretches us a little bit more, and it's hurting even more, and then God says, will you trust me? You see, we come to the edge. I don't want to fall off this table or anything, because I'm going to break an arm or something. But we come to the... I was at a point in my life where I wanted to cry out to God, and I wanted God to answer me. The greatest impatience that we have is waiting on God, waiting on those prayers to be answered. And every single one of us has unanswered prayers. And listen to this. We come to a point on the edge, screaming out to God. Psalm 13. How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and every day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer me, O Lord my God. Answer me. He's not answering you. You have a hope and future for me, but you can't even answer my prayer. What's with that? A lot of people put my suffering and my disability as bad luck. Bad luck. Is there anything such as bad luck in our lives? Is there anything such as luck, chance, or coincidence in our lives? Absolutely not. Let's prove it in the Bible. Romans 8:28. Right now. Let's go. These are the scriptures where my hope is built. In our suffering and pain. I want to share it with you. Romans 8, verse 28. First of all, does God know who you are and what you're going through? If you don't believe it, I want you to read Psalm 139 tonight. He knows absolutely everything. He knows when a sparrow dies in this world today. He's your child. How much more would He know about you? But we doubt that. But check this out. Romans 8:28 says this. And we know that in all things God works together for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. That all things come together for the good. You know what that means? Let me paraphrase that. God knows what He's doing. You go back in time in 1982 and tell my parents, it's okay, God knows what He's doing. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You can't see that hope. You can't see that glory. But I want to tell you today that no matter who you are, no matter what you are going through, God knows it. He is with you and He will pull you through. I want to tell you that there is no storm that is too big for God. And there is not one suffering that you will go through and not see glory revealed. There will be some good if you hang on. Romans 8:18 says this. For I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. You know what? I want to tell you about prayers. If you are praying for something today, if it is God's will, it's going to happen in His time. And if it's not His will that would come to pass, God has something better. But I tell you, that verse, consider the present sufferings, has nothing to compare with the glory revealed in it. You know, that's my life. If you sum up all my life of wanting to give up, and all my depression, wanting to commit suicide, and you put all that there, and you compare it to the glory revealed in it, I tell you, all that stuff is microscopic. Do you know why? Because I have no arms and no legs.